Hello and welcome in everybody. My name is Ryan. I go by XWeaverX here on YouTube, as you see. Today we're going to be discussing how I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, a vestibular schwannoma, commonly referred to as an acoustic neuroma. So today we're just going to be kind of discussing how I was diagnosed with that and what led me to finding my brain tumor. So I'm here at a new park. I recorded a brain tumor video shortly after I had my brain surgery. If you're interested in checking that video out, it's going to be down in the description, so go ahead and check it out. Now that video is kind of like a whole picture of getting diagnosed with the brain tumor, the surgery, kind of how I've been after the surgery. That's like a whole video in itself. I wanted to go back and make shorter videos covering different topics, such as getting diagnosed with a brain tumor, what it's like to get diagnosed with a brain tumor, surgery versus radiation versus watch and wait, the research surrounding these brain tumors, specifically the vestibular schwannoma, and then also some other videos that are like how it affects me personally and how, oh my god, that's a big ass bee. Oh my god, don't sting me, please. Holy shenanigans. Did you guys see that bee? That thing is huge. I don't want to get stung recording this video, so hopefully we don't get stung recording this video. Anyways, this is going to be part one of the series, breaking down all the different things that goes with getting diagnosed with a brain tumor, as well as everything that comes with that brain tumor. Oh, the other video I had in mind was how getting diagnosed with a brain tumor and going through surgery, radiation, or watch and wait affects your personal relationships between you, your friends, family, and your significant other. So that's going to be another video I have planned. With that being said, let's hop right into the video. This is going to be part one. Part one is going to be the diagnosis of the brain tumor and how I found out that I had a vestibular schwannoma. So finding out that I had a brain tumor was actually a whole journey, you know. So back in 2020, during the pandemic with COVID, I was working a job and I just was not feeling right. I kept feeling very off balance. Like when I would be standing there doing my job, I would start to feel like I was sideways. And a good way to represent how I was really feeling is when you have a night out with the boys, you get a little too drunk, and then when you're walking, you feel like you're walking like this, right? Like you feel very lopsided. That was one of my initial symptoms that I was having that led me to finding out that I had a brain tumor. Some other symptoms that I had was neurological symptoms such as headaches, kind of confusion, memory loss, migraines, things like that were some symptoms that I was having neurologically that led me to finding my brain tumor. And if we go back to work, right, so I was working one day and I fell a few times at work, and I was trying to figure out, why am I falling? Like, I'm a young, healthy man. Why do I feel off balance? Why did I fall at work? Like, you know, I had a few incidents where I fell at work on the job, and thankfully I didn't get hurt or anything like that, but it was very concerning that I was falling at work and I couldn't figure out, why am I falling at work? Like, what is the deal? You know, so I was having some issues with that. And then progressed through a few months after that, I started having symptoms in this right ear. And the symptoms that I was having was pulsatile tinnitus or pulsatile tinnitus. And what that is, if you don't know, is a heartbeat sensation in this ear. So if you have pulsatile tinnitus, it's basically hearing your own heartbeat non-stop in the affected ear, and mine happened to be this right side. So I was just constantly hearing a doo 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 doo, like, and then if I was exercising or, you know, working out, my heart was beating faster, that would reflect in this ear, and then I would hear doo 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 doo, and it was driving me up the wall. It was driving me up the wall. Like, I could not figure out, why am I hearing my own heartbeat in this ear? This is like really concerning. What's causing that, you know? And it didn't go away. It did not go away. It was just there 24/7. And then, like, it creates a sense of anxiety in itself because you're constantly in tune with how your heart is beating. So then you become hyper vigilant and just like hyper aware and fixated on, why is my heart beating this way? Like, it was really driving me up the wall. and it gave me a lot of anxiety, to say the least, right? So I eventually ended up going to the doctor. I went to my primary doctor, was talking to him about what I was experiencing between the headaches, migraines, falling at work, this pulsatile tinnitus. And then so he referred me to ear, nose, throat doctor, ENT doctor. And I went and saw this ENT doctor, I think about 3 or 4 times before he finally decided, like, hey, this might be neurological. We should get yourself a CAT scan done to make sure it's not something neurological going on. But before we even got my CAT scan, he believed it was a sinus infection. So I was in and out the doctor's office non-stop, you know, dealing with these symptoms. And he prescribed me some antibiotics and got me to try some allergy medication out, because he did believe that I was just having like a sinus infection, or that maybe my allergies were causing these symptoms. And then, oh my God, I almost forgot. I was having very severe panic attacks, and I had never had panic attacks before in my life. My anxiety was at 1,000. It was so much, very hard to deal with. So during this whole time in 2020, I was in and out of the hospital because I was having such severe panic attacks, and I had never had those before. And I didn't know what it was, you know. I was just like having such a hard time. Like, if you've never experienced a panic attack before, it's one of the most intense feelings of fear and anxiety that you can ever experience in your life. It is very uncomfortable. You feel like you're going out of your body and like you can't breathe. You feel all these physical symptoms as well, like sweating profusely, your heart beating really fast, feeling very faint feeling. And then like the psychological symptoms that come with it are like feeling like you're out of control, like you can't breathe, like you can't get enough breath, that you're dying. Like, it's a very intense emotion that you can experience when you have these panic attacks, right? Well, I was having these panic attacks non-stop, and I was in and out of the doctor's office, in and out of the hospital. I racked up so much medical debt because of these symptoms that I was having, and I could not get to the bottom of it, right? And all this was going on during the pandemic, which made it even worse because everybody was locked in. Nobody knew what was going on with COVID. Like, it was just a whole thing. It was a whole mess. But anyways, I got into the ear, nose, throat doctor. I saw him for a few months, and then he finally recommended me getting a CAT scan. And when I got the CAT scan done, they did it with contrast and without contrast. And contrast is basically they'll hook an IV up to you. They'll inject this contrast, which is a dye. And if you have any type of tumors in your brain, the contrast will actually soak up the tumor. The tumor will soak up the contrast, excuse me, and that'll highlight that part of your brain for the radiologist or the CAT scan specialist, whoever, you know, is looking at it. So in my case, that's actually what happened. Had my CAT scan done. I ended up getting a phone call back from the ear, nose, throat doctor, and he was like, hey Ryan, I need you to come in to discuss the CAT scan results that we have. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh great, this is bad news, because if it's not bad news, they'll call you and tell you, hey, nothing to worry about, all is well. Well, in my case, they called me and was like, we need you to come in and discuss these CAT scan results. So I'm like, oh man, this is awful. This isn't gonna be great news, right? And so leading up to this, I have to mention this part too, because this was so crazy. So leading up to all of this, before I even had my CAT scan done, I was telling all my friends and family, like, I think I have a brain tumor. You know, I'm having all these off-the-wall sensations and symptoms, and nobody's giving me an answer to what's going on with this, you know. I was in and out of the hospital for a whole year, almost a whole year and a half, before I even got the diagnosis that I had a brain tumor. So I started having symptoms February 1st of 2020, and then it wasn't until April of 2021 that I got the diagnosis that I have a brain tumor, a vestibular schwannoma brain tumor. But leading up to that whole year and a half symptoms that I was having and struggling with everything, I had a dream that was so surreal. it was what I like to refer to as my first divine intervention. So I had this dream, and inside this dream there was a whole black room, and there was an operating table in the center of the room, big bright lights, somebody laying on the table, but they had a a hospital blanket over them to where you couldn't see anything that was going on, but you could see their feet hanging out the end of the table, right? And so I'm looking at whoever this is on this table, and so off to the side of me here, I hear this overwhelming voice of love and acceptance telling me that, hey, that's you, Ryan, on this operating table, and you have a brain tumor, and you have to have it operated on or you're gonna pass away. You know, when that happened, that dream, it was so surreal. Like, I woke up shaking and just like so shooken by that dream. You know, I was like, oh my God, this is God speaking to me. Like, this is the confirmation that I have a brain tumor. I really, really believe it was God talking to me and telling me, like, you have a brain tumor. You need to get it looked at. You have to get this addressed. This is very important. And, you know, that was right before I had my CAT scan done. It was a couple weeks before I had my CAT scan done that I had this very surreal dream. Like I said, a divine intervention from God himself talking to me. And then I had the CAT scan done, like I said, and then I got the call back to come into the office. So then I'm in the office with my doctor, and he's like, hey Ryan, we need to talk about your CAT scan results. So I'm sitting here, the floor is like a checkered design, right? And I remember just sitting there, and he's talking to me about what they found. He's like, we found a brain tumor, a vestibular schwannoma, commonly referred to as an acoustic neuroma. And he's continuing on telling me everything about it, and I'm sitting here in the chair, and all I can do, as soon as he said they found a brain tumor, was just like disassociate so hard. If you never disassociated before, it's a very surreal experience. You just feel like you're there in reality, but then at the same time you're not. Like, you just detach from everything in reality and from your body. And it was just because it was such a strong emotional response that I had that was invoked by the word brain tumor, that they found a brain tumor. And so, like, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the ground, and then I start getting tunnel vision. Everything starts going black. I start hearing ringing very intensely in both my ears. I start sweating profusely, and I felt like I passed out. Like, I just completely blanked everything out that he was saying. And then eventually the ringing started getting quieter, my vision started coming back, and he's still talking to me, and he's like, so did you get all of that? And I'm just like, I don't know anything you just said. Like, the last thing I heard was that you said I had a brain tumor, is that correct? Like, that can't be right? And he's like, no, unfortunately we did find a brain tumor. And then he starts going over and telling me about it, how it is a rare benign brain tumor, and that I'm gonna need to follow up with a specialist, a radiologist, and a neurosurgeon to kind of go over what my options are, whether it be watch and wait, radiation, or surgery to get this tumor taken care of. So that was the initial diagnosis that I had, and like everything that led up to me getting diagnosed with the brain tumor. I can't forget this part either, because I look back on it and I think it's so funny that I ordered a pair of AirPod Pros from Apple. And that was like when they first come out. I ordered a pair, and you know, I'm listening to them and I'm like, something's wrong with my right earpod. It's not loud. It sounds significantly quieter than my left AirPod. And so I think I got a faulty unit, right? I'm like, okay, the unit that I got is malfunctioning. I got a faulty pair of AirPods, so I'm gonna return them and get a new pair. So I went through the whole process of returning these headphones that I just bought because the right one sounded muffled. It sounded like something was wrong with it. And then I get the new pair and I have the same issue, and I'm like, what is going on? Why do these headphones, why is the right one not working like it's supposed to? So, you know, I thought it was so funny looking back on, because at the time that was actually a symptom of my brain tumor. Loss of hearing, muffled hearing, like a waterlogged hearing. That's a sign of a brain tumor for the vestibular schwannoma. And I didn't know that, you know, I didn't know anything about that. But I laugh about it looking back on it because I literally went through the whole process of returning a brand new pair of headphones. But to me, they were faulty because the right one wasn't working like I thought it was supposed to. But it was just because I had hearing loss because of my brain tumor. So looking back on that, again, I do laugh about it because it was like right there in front of me the whole time. But I was naive. I did not think I had a brain tumor. Like, that never crossed my mind that I had a brain tumor. Like, I don't think that crosses anybody's mind because it's something that's so rare and so out there. And at the time, I was 26 years old and got diagnosed with my brain tumor at 26. So like, as a 26-year-old, that's pretty healthy. You know, I never suspected that I had a brain tumor. So that was something. That was really hard to take in when I got diagnosed with it, you know. And I don't think anyone at any age wants to be diagnosed with a brain tumor. It's a very scary thing. It's very scary to hear, and it's very scary to have to take in everything that comes with being diagnosed with a brain tumor. So that was my initial journey of discovering that I had a brain tumor, and like I said, everything that led up to me finding my brain tumor. So this is going to be part 1 of the series. I hope you stick around for the rest of the series, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video and taking time out of your day to listen to what I had to say about, you know, getting diagnosed with a brain tumor. So as always though, peace and prosper, much love. We'll be catching you on the next series. Thanks again. Bye.